So what we have here is an inequality, and they're asking us to solve this, to find the solution set for this. So solving inequalities is almost exactly the same thing as solving equations, where you're using opposite operations on both sides to get the variable by itself. There is one difference in solving inequalities. We'll talk about that in a second if that shows up. Okay. So first off, let me just write down this inequality. So I have negative 3x plus 7 is greater than or equal to negative x minus 5. Now, most teachers, when you're solving equations or solving inequalities, teach you to put a line down the middle. So I'll do that. The reason for the line is to remind you, you can do anything you want to this, but make sure whatever you do on the left side of the inequality, you also do on the right side. That keeps the inequality or the equation balanced. So have variables on both sides. That's the first thing you want to notice. When that happens, you want to get the variables on the same side. So I can either move the 3x to the right side by adding it to both sides, doing the opposite, it's negative, so I would add it. Or I can move the x to the other side by adding x, which is really 1x. There's a 1 there that's not written, to both sides. Now, if I add 3x, this would go away. Let me get my pointer here. If I add 3x, this would go away. And I'd add 3x over here. I'd have negative 1 plus 3x is 2x. If I get rid of this one, I would add x to both sides. I'd have negative 3x plus 1x would be negative 2x. So one of them leaves me with a negative 2x on the left side. The other one leaves me with a positive 2x on the right side. You can do it either way, and you'll get the correct answer. I typically teach my students to do whichever one gives you a positive x value. So in this case, I'm going to add 3x to both sides, but you will still get the correct answer if you do it the other way. So let's look at that. So I'm going to add 3x on the left side to get rid of this, and I'm going to add 3x to this side. And so negative 3x plus 3x is 0. So I still have the 7 over here, greater than or equal to. Again, there's a 1 in front of this x that's not written. So negative 1 plus 3x is 2x. And then I still have the minus 5. Okay. Now, let me point out the thing you got to watch out for when you're solving inequalities. I said it's the exact same thing as solving an equation with one exception. The exception is if the variable is being multiplied or divided by a negative number, then you have to flip the inequality. So in this case, the variable is being multiplied by a positive, so I don't have to flip the inequality. But if this was a negative 2, then I would have to change the direction of the inequality. So all I would do is flip it around and make it go the other way. Where's my hand? Right there. So I would just flip it and make it go the other way. That's the only difference in solving inequalities. So if the variable is being multiplied or divided by a negative, then you have to flip the inequality around. Now, be careful. You can't decide that until you get the variables on one side. So if I did that in the beginning, I have a negative here. Oh, I got to flip the inequality. I got a negative here. Oh, I got to flip the inequality. So don't make that decision until you get the variable on one side. All right, so now we're just going to continue solving this. So I'm trying to get the x by itself. I'm trying to isolate it. I have 2 times x minus 5. So I'm doing opposite operations again. You always do the adding or subtracting first. So I have minus 5. I'm going to do plus 5 on both sides. Plus 5. That goes away. Now I have 12 is greater than or equal to 2x. I see multiplication, so I'm going to do division to get rid of that 2. So I divide both sides by 2. 2 over 2 is 1. That goes away. So I have 6 is greater than or equal to x. Now, when you write your answer, you always want to have the variable on the left side. Now, be careful. When I flip this around, I have to also flip the inequality symbol. Because if you look right now, if you think of this as the old school alligator eating what's bigger, it's saying 6 is bigger than X or 6 is greater than that because it's eating the 6. So when I change this and rewrite it in the correct form, I want it to still say the same thing. So the inequality has to get flipped around also. So there's my solution. X is less than or equal to 6. And so you can see that's A. So keep up the good work and you will master the math.